Welcome back, friends. Today we're making real hot dogs, but not the fast food kind you know, and homemade sausages, carefully prepared and smoked with patience. If you enjoy these moments of simple village life and homemade traditions, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more warmth, food, and stories I can't wait to share with you. What a beautiful morning it is today. Ukrainian village mornings always start before the sun rises high. You hear the cowbells first, then the roosters crowing across the yards. In villages, mornings are about small but important duties. Cows must be milked before the heat, chickens scattered with grain, gardens watered while the soil is still cool. Even children help, running to bring kindling for the fire or carrying warm milk in little clay cups to the table.
Доброго ранку! Добрий ранок, добрий ранок.
For me, mornings here begin in the garden. I like to step barefoot on the grass still wet with dew, check how the tomatoes grew overnight, and see if the herbs are ready to pick. Breakfast is a celebration in itself. Villagers often start with fresh cheese, homemade bread, and a spoon of honey collected just yesterday. In summer, you'll always find a jar of cherry jam on the table, and in winter, dried apples rehydrated into a warm compote. I spend my mornings preparing the things that later turn into big joys, gathering herbs for tea, drying mint on the windowsill, and picking marigold flowers that will later heal scratches and burns. Now I'm heading down to the cellar to grab a few vegetables. Ukrainian cellars are like hidden treasure rooms under every village house. Cool in summer, frost-proof in winter, they've always been the heart of food storage. Inside, you'll usually find shelves lined with jars of pickled cucumbers, fermented cabbage, jams, and compotes. Potatoes are piled high in wooden crates, onions hang in braids from the ceiling, and clay pots keep the carrots fresh for months. Right now, I'm about to pick rose petals. In Ukrainian homes, rose petals were always more than decoration. They were medicine, food, and even perfume. When added to tea, they give a gentle, sweet aroma that feels like summer itself. Our grandmothers made rose jam, ruby red, sweet like childhood. It wasn't just dessert, it was pride. To serve rose jam to a guest meant you valued them, because making it required patience, sugar, and endless stirring. Some families even stored petals in honey, creating natural medicine for coughs and colds. Fun fact, in old Ukrainian households, dried rose petals were kept in linen bags and placed in chests with clothes. They gave garments a gentle fragrance and protected them from moths. Picking roses is almost like prayer. Each petal feels fragile, yet eternal, because you know it will live on in tea, jam, or oil. Villagers often said, if you gather flowers with a calm heart, they will keep your calm inside them. Roses were also part of our folk songs and poetry. A young girl was often compared to a blooming rose, a symbol of beauty and tenderness. At weddings, rose petals were thrown over the bride and groom as a blessing for love and harmony.
Саме пахуть.
Even in hard times, roses were never forgotten. During wars and shortages, women still grew them in their gardens. A rose bush by the house was a silent reminder. Life must continue, beauty must survive, no matter what. Now I'm picking some fresh mint for tea. In Ukrainian villages, herbal tea isn't just a drink. It's medicine, comfort, and tradition all in one cup. Families used to dry mint, chamomile, linden blossoms, and raspberry leaves, storing them in linen bags for the whole winter. Each plant had its purpose, one for sleep, another for fever, another for strength. Did you know that in old times, people rarely drank imported tea leaves? Instead, they trusted their own gardens and forests. A simple pot of dried herbs was believed to carry more health than any exotic leaf. Tea was also a ritual of togetherness. After work in the fields, families gathered around the table, poured steaming mugs, and shared stories. It wasn't only about drinking, it was about slowing down. My husband and I love this moment. The smell of mint fills the room, and it feels like the whole day softens. A small pause, but one that gives strength for everything ahead. Even today, in many Ukrainian homes, tea means hospitality. If you visit, the first thing you'll be offered is a cup of herbal tea with jam or honey. Well, now it's time to start preparing the sausages. In Ukraine, homemade sausages, kovbasa, have always been more than just food. They were a sign of celebration, carefully made for holidays, weddings, and big family gatherings. The tradition goes back centuries. When people raised pigs or cows, nothing was wasted. Meat was preserved by smoking, drying, or stuffing into natural casings, which later became the sausages we know today. Villagers used to prepare sausages, especially in autumn, after the harvest and before the first snow. Families gathered, meat was seasoned with garlic and pepper, and the process turned into a small feast of its own. Why sausages? Because they were practical. Meat in its fresh form spoiled quickly, but once smoked and dried, it could be stored for weeks. It was survival food that later grew into a true delicacy. Even today, many families keep the tradition alive. On Christmas or Easter, homemade kovbasa is placed on the festive table, often blessed in church before being shared. It carries memory and faith together. Making sausages has always been a family effort. Children helped wash garlic, grandmothers mixed the spices, men prepared the fire for smoking. It wasn't just cooking, it was bonding.
Де б так ще прийшов?
Did you know? In some regions of Western Ukraine, sausages were seasoned with wild marjoram and coriander. In the East, people preferred more garlic and black pepper. Each village had its own recipe.
Уваги. Так. Ще трошки.
If you enjoy these little windows into Ukrainian village life, the food, the stories, the traditions, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more I can't wait to share with you. Compared to German bratwurst or Italian salami, Ukrainian sausages are heavier on garlic and smoke. They're rustic, bold, and made to be eaten with bread, pickles, and a good shot of homemade horilka.
No proszę.
But unlike in many European countries, where sausages became a street food, here they stayed tied to the family table. That's why Ukrainians often say, good kovbasa tastes better when it's shared. I remember as a child going down to the cellar with my grandfather. Strings of sausages were hanging from wooden beams, smoky and golden. He used to cut a slice, put it on bread, and say, "This is the taste of patience." Sausages also carried status. A house with full shelves of meat for winter meant the family was hardworking and well prepared. It was quiet pride, shown through food.
Не воркоти.
Today, of course, things are easier. You can buy sausages in any shop, but ask anyone. The store-bought ones will never taste like those made by your grandmother with her own hands. Some families still gather every year to make their own. It's messy, it takes time, but the reward is huge. Fun fact, Ukrainians often flavored sausages with beet juice to give them a deeper red color, a natural trick, long before food dyes existed. And while we think of sausages as ordinary food today, in old villages they were considered a luxury. You wouldn't cook them for just any day, only when there was something to celebrate. My favorite part of making them is the smell. Garlic, black pepper, smoke, wood fire. It fills the whole yard and neighbors know. Somewhere, a family is preparing for a feast. While I'm busy with the sausages, my husband is painting the table. In Ukrainian villages, a wooden table is not just furniture, it's the very center of family life. People always gathered around it. Meals, prayers, talks with neighbors, even serious decisions, all happened at the table. That's why keeping it strong and clean mattered so much. Painting or oiling the table was a tradition, almost a ritual. Fresh paint protected the wood from moisture and insects, making sure the table would last for decades. Did you know that in some regions, people used natural paints made from clay, lime, or even beet juice? It gave the wood a warm color and kept the process completely natural. Villagers often said, "A table is the soul of the house." If the table was neat and cared for, it meant the family was hardworking and welcoming. While the sausages are finally ready, just look at them. The smell. Wow, it fills the whole kitchen. I love this moment, when all the effort turns into something delicious and golden. You can't help but smile just by smelling them. Of course, even the kitties get their share. Everyone deserves a little taste of our homemade feast. While I'm here preparing the dough for hot dog buns, the children have arrived with the rabbits. In Ukrainian villages, keeping small animals like rabbits has always been common. They provide meat, fur, and teach responsibility.
Є морики, є кролики, все у нас є. А ну, дивіться, в мене тут є морквочка, капусточка. А ну, давайте. Вау, вау, вау.
I'm going to give them some fresh vegetables so they can feed the bunnies. Kids usually learn early how to care for animals. It's part of growing up in the countryside.
Капусточка.
Returning to the hot dogs, it's amazing how this simple combination of bread and sausage has its own story in Ukraine. Before the 20th century, sausages were usually eaten on their own or with bread separately.
І котики, і песики. У нас все є. І кіти, кролики, і песики, тьоточка, красунечки.
In villages, people adapted the idea to local tastes. Homemade sausages, freshly baked bread from clay ovens, and sometimes fresh herbs or pickled vegetables from the garden made these hot dogs unique. It became not just food, but a quick meal for workers, children, and families during celebrations. The first homemade hot dogs were often part of family traditions. Parents taught children how to knead the dough for buns, grill or boil the sausages, and prepare homemade sauces or mustard. It was a small kitchen ritual full of patience, care, and laughter. Fun fact, some families in Western Ukraine would even color the buns with natural ingredients, like beet juice, giving them a warm reddish tone. This made the hot dogs festive and special, not just another meal. Making hot dogs at home quickly became a way to celebrate togetherness. On Sundays or holidays, everyone had a role. Children brushed the buns, grandmothers chopped herbs, and fathers grilled the sausages. Unlike the fast food we see today, homemade hot dogs were about connection. Every step required attention and care. Every bite carried the flavor of home, effort, and the feeling of being together, which is priceless.
Це ще трошки треба. До рання так мусить висохнути. Але хай. Хватить, а потім прийдеш на вечерю.
Some households even had playful contests. Who could roll the softest bun? Who could place the longest sausage? These small challenges brought joy, laughter, and a sense of pride in creating something with your own hands. During Soviet times, hot dogs became more widely available in kiosks and shops, but Ukrainians never stopped making them at home. The homemade versions kept their charm, fresh, flavorful, and always tied to family rituals. Today, making hot dogs at home is both a culinary activity and a way to preserve traditions. We bake our buns, grill sausages, and add herbs, pickles, or sauces exactly like our parents and grandparents did. Ukrainians often serve hot dogs with pickles, mustard, or homemade sauces. Each family has its special combination, making every hot dog unique, flavored by love, care, and the local garden's herbs. Children especially enjoy helping. They spread mustard, place sausages in buns, and sometimes decorate with parsley or dill. Their laughter fills the kitchen and adds an irreplaceable flavor to the day. Well, finally the buns are ready. The smell is incredible, soft and golden. I can't wait to fill them with sausages and all the toppings. A little tip: warm the sausages before putting them in the buns. It keeps everything juicy and the flavors blend perfectly. Another trick: spread a thin layer of butter or mustard inside the buns first. It prevents them from getting soggy and adds extra taste. If you're enjoying these cozy moments of cooking and family life, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more warmth, stories, and delicious food coming your way. Honestly, this is the best part. Finally getting to taste all the effort. Soft buns, smoky sausages, fresh toppings. It's pure comfort food. And now, the moment of truth. One bite, and wow. Juicy, flavorful, warm, and absolutely delicious. This is homemade happiness on a plate.
Дуже смачно.
Ну, так.